here's how and when to remove the badges off of your new Toyota Tacoma. Well, good afternoon everybody and welcome back to the channel. Hey, if you're looking for a way to remove the badges on your new Toyota Tacoma, I'm going to tell you how and when you should do that. First of all, let me show you guys. As you can see here, I've removed the Tacoma badging here from the side. I have added this one, but this is more for business purposes, for work, but I really do like this. But anyway, I've removed the chrome badging off of the side here. You know, it did say Tacoma here. And primarily when I talk about my dislike for badges, it's really more a dislike for chrome, right? I'm not a big chrome fan. So if your truck happened to come with a blackout package, you know, that still has the decals and stuff like that on it, that's cool, I think. I don't hate those. It's really more about the chrome for me. So as we go on here over to the back, you can see I've removed the V6. I believe it had a V6 badge somewhere, I think over there actually. And then over here it had the 4x4 badging or something like that. Again, everything in chrome, you know, chrome. Now, I did add the Tacoma lettering here in the back of the tailgate. It is black, of course, as you can see. Now, I did that because, number one, it's already stamped in the truck, right? So it's not like I added the words or anything. So I thought it would be kind of cool to accentuate that a little bit. And I like that look myself. But hey, it all depends on what you're looking for, right? So, how and when should you remove the badging? Well, let's cover the when first, I guess. If you're going to do it, if you're like me and you don't like all that chrome all over the place, I would do it pretty much just as soon as you get the truck, if you can. Now, it does need to be warm outside, preferably, and even better with your truck in the sun, but we'll get to the how here in a minute. But the reason I would do it as soon as you get the truck is because the adhesive probably hasn't hardened at all or started to degrade at all, right? And it still should be pretty pliable from when you got it from the factory or when it was made at the factory. Good proof of that, I had removed the lettering down here on the side. You know, it said, I don't know, TRD off-road or something right along here. I had pulled that off pretty much right after I got the truck home. And I was amazed. It was easy just to grab an edge of that and pull it right off. It was pretty simple. Didn't leave any residue at all on the truck. And I think that's pretty much because the truck wasn't very old. It had been built maybe a month or a couple weeks earlier than I actually received it. So it just peeled right off. It was pretty easy. So what about the how? Well, there's a lot of different theories out there, some which are horrible. I've heard people talk about using abrasive things on your paint to get that stuff off. Even metal, you know, wedges or whatever to get in between the adhesive and the paint on the truck. Don't do that. I mean, anything that is abrasive or metal will scratch your paint. And I wouldn't even go as far as to use anything like a plastic pry tool. I wouldn't use that either. In my experience, and I have done this on many, many vehicles, the best thing to use, number one, is heat. If it's summer or it's warm and there's bright sun outside and you can park your truck outside in the sun and let the sun beat on those badges for, I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe two, just to get them really heated up, that's the best way because that really heats up that adhesive. And not only does it heat up the adhesive, it heats up the badge itself, it heats up all the metal around the badge, so it gets everything nice and warm so that you can get behind it and kind of cut through or pull off that adhesive. If you don't have that option, and I've done it both ways, I've also done it in the winter when it's, you know, freezing outside, a hairdryer. I wouldn't use a heat gun because heat guns get really, really hot, and I would be concerned that you would damage your paint, you know, scorch it, bubble it, burn it. I wouldn't use a heat gun for this. Definitely a hairdryer. They don't get hot enough, unless you really hold it on there, to cause any kind of problem, and I've never had any problem using one. So you just grab a hairdryer, kind of, you know, keep it in motion. Don't concentrate on any one place. Heat it all up, you know, go around the badge, concentrating primarily on the badge itself. Maybe at the top, you know, where you can kind of have the air blowing between the badge a little bit onto the adhesive that's up against the paint. And it should be hot enough that it's It doesn't burn you when you touch it for sure, but it's almost to the point that it's overly uncomfortable to hold your hand on it. You know what I mean? You don't want to burn your hand on it, but pretty uncomfortable when you hold your hand on it. That's when you know that that badge is at a good temperature where you should be able to get that adhesive pliable enough to do the next step. Now, the next step, a lot of people suggest fishing line or even dental floss. I've never had good luck with either one for a couple of reasons. One, dental floss always breaks. I never could get dental floss to go through that adhesive without it breaking. Fishing line is bad on your hands. I mean, it cuts into your hands because you do have to put quite a bit of pressure to pull through that glue, and it really starts to cut into your hands. Now, if you wore gloves, yeah, you probably could get away with using fishing line. But the thing that I've had most success with are just thin rags, like a handkerchief or something. You know, you just kind of get to the edge of it, and it's pretty thin. This one's actually a little too thick. I would use one a little thinner. But you've got this edge, and you just kind of want to work that edge in on the edge of the badge and just kind of saw it back and forth through the badge. It works really, really well, and these things typically are cotton or polyester or whatever, so they're very soft. They're not going to scratch up your paint, and that's key, right? You don't want to damage your paint to take a badge off. That's nuts. So after you do that, if you're lucky, most of the adhesive will actually stick to the badge, but probably not all of it. Now, what I usually do is I just roll it with my thumb, if I can. I just kind of roll it to get it to come off. And then once I have a gob of that adhesive, then I go ahead and use it. I just kind of poke at what's left with that to pull the rest of the adhesive off the truck. And you'd be amazed at how well that works. That stuff is so strong that it will grab onto itself, if you will, and adhere tightly enough that it'll pull off of the truck. Now, if that doesn't work, the next thing is Goo Gone. This stuff right here. Now, you have to be patient. If you're like me, you're not very patient. What you have to do, and I have to force myself to do this, you want to put this on. I usually pour it on a rag and then just dab it liberally on whatever adhesive is remaining, right? Not so that it's running down the side of the truck or anything, you know, so that you have a mess like that, but enough so that it's really, really damp on the adhesive. And if it starts to dry out before it does its work, go ahead and do it again. I mean, there's no reason you can't put more on. The key here is to leave it sit. Let it do its job. Probably about 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. Just leave it sit on the adhesive. Then grab yourself a nice clean rag or towel, something that you probably will throw away when you're done, and kind of just work the adhesive off. A lot of times with this Goo Gone stuff, it will just come right off altogether. You don't even have to put any pressure on it. You just wipe and it'll come off because this stuff kind of eats through the adhesive. But if you gotta, you know, scrub a little bit, that's okay because you're using a soft cloth and that should be enough to pull that adhesive right off. Now, once you're done, you've got all the adhesive off, you've wiped off the leftover Goo Gone stuff, you want to clean it because in essence, when you're using the Goo Gone, you're taking off any wax or anything that might have been on there protecting the paint. So I just grab some wax, little waxing pad, wash off the area first, obviously, with some soap and water. You want to make sure that all the residue from this stuff is gone. And then just wax that area up real good. Leave that sit for a few minutes, wipe it off, and you'll never know that there was any kind of a decal or a badge on the truck. It works perfectly, in my opinion. So anyway, that's how I do it. That's the procedure I use. I want to make this video because I get questions about that periodically. How did I do it? How do you do it? Those are my steps. I will leave a link down below to this stuff if you're interested in this. This is what I would recommend. Really anything that will remove adhesive. I know a lot of people use alcohol. Others use gasoline. I wouldn't recommend that. But this stuff is really designed to remove goo, hence the name, Goo Gone. So that's what I use. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let me know your procedure. If there's an easier way than what I mentioned, I'd love to know what it is. So let me know. Also, if you're interested and you want to, check out my other channel. It's called RobMotion, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. You guys can see it right up there. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.